Hi everybody, it's me, Sam from Sammy's Movies, and today I'm going to review Spectre. Spectre is directed by Sam Mendes and stars Daniel Craig, Seydoux, Christoph Waltz, and Ralph Fiennes. It is the 24th James Bond film and the second James Bond film to be directed by Sam Mendes. So obviously I couldn't wait to see this film. It was my second most anticipated film of 2015 after Star Wars, especially after the big hit and critically acclaimed Skyfall, which was mentioned as one of the best James Bond films, and I agree with that. It's one of my personal favorite, but my favorite of all time is still Casino Royale, directed by Martin Campbell. I think that the Casino Royale is the best James Bond ever, and I love it. So obviously I think that Daniel Craig is the best James Bond. Skyfall and Casino Royale are my two favorites James Bond films, and I couldn't wait to see Spectre, especially after, as I mentioned, the amazing Skyfall. Though some people were complaining about Skyfall, thinking that it wasn't like the real Bond. Because it's true that Skyfall is a bit different from the classic James Bond films. It is very different, but some people didn't like the change, and I think that those people will be happy with Spectre. Because Spectre is the return to form to the classic James Bond film. If you didn't like Skyfall, then I think that you might enjoy Spectre more. It is a very classic James Bond. It is an homage to the Sean Connery era of James Bond, and a bit of the Roger Moore films also. So I don't know why they did this, because I was surprised when seeing Spectre that it wasn't at all like Skyfall. It's very different. Maybe a request from Daniel Craig, so before he leaves the franchise he could do at least one classic James Bond. At first it took a while to adapt because it was a change from Skyfall, but I didn't mind the change, and I thought it was a new fresh way to go, and I liked seeing the classic Bond. It's true that it has been a while since we've had a classic James Bond film. So all of the James Bond films are known for great entries, but this film might just be my favorite intro of all the James Bond film. It is all in one shot where they're in some kind of Day of the Dead that they call in the film, where they're all dressed in skeleton, and that was amazing. It's one continuous shot in Mexico City, and then it follows with a big plane helicopter fight scene, and then we get the usual music video in the new music Writing Off the Wall by Sam Smith. So right off the bat, Spectre starts off amazing. The intro of Spectre is definitely one of the best scenes. So now let's talk a bit about the song. So the new James Bond song in this film was, I did like it, but it's definitely not my favorite. It's not as good as Skyfall, but it's enjoyable. But the music video that plays is really good. It's like all these octopus going out of Daniel Craig and stuff like that, and it's really good. As good as the others. So after 4 films, I think that Daniel Craig in Spectre was the best he has been in all of his films. You can really see that he has done 3 films before this one, and that now he's really got the James Bond. It's definitely his best performance of all the 4 films he has made. You can really see that he has evolved over the past few films, and now he's at the top of his game, and he's excellent in this movie as James Bond. He's not the same James Bond as in previous films. A lot of fans were excited when Christoph Waltz was announced playing the villain in this movie, which leads me to my first complaint with Spectre. When you have Christoph Waltz playing a villain, you gotta use him, because in this movie he's not used a lot and he's not there enough, because all of the scenes that he is in is great. His entry to the film is amazing. You probably saw it in the trailer if you watched it, but he was a great villain, but he was really underused. He's in like 4 scenes, It was really disappointing to see that he was in only like 4 scenes, but he was really good in all the scenes that he was in. Seydoux was excellent in this film also. She played the role perfectly, and you can see that she was a strong feminine character. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this movie is definitely more classic oriented. It's more apparented to the classic James Bond. First off, it starts with the gun barrel sequence, which in the previous films of Daniel Craig, it never started with the gun barrel sequences. So I'm okay with that, but I see some people being a bit disoriented. Since it's classic, it has its ups and its downs. So my first down would be that the story is not as interesting as Skyfall. It is your stereotypical story of James Bond. So that was a bit disappointing to see a story like that, but it comes with all the great amazing action scenes and classic stuff that we get in this film. James Bond is definitely more like we know him in earlier James Bond films, and I definitely like that. It's a change from the previous films, and that was really nice to see. But unfortunately, the story isn't as strong and as good as the previous films. But one plus that I liked about the story is that it kept James Bond always going to places and other places that lends to great action scenes in places that are jaw-dropping, like an amazing action scene in a mountain and amazing action scenes on a train also. So in this movie there's a lot more action, and all the action is very well filmed. The cinematography in this movie is amazing. It's not lensed by the same cinematographer than Skyfall, which had Roger Deakins. In this movie it's a new one, but he does as good a job as Roger Deakins in Skyfall, and he filmed this film very well. More action scenes and more interesting locations in Spectre, but a more disappointing story and a stereotypical villain that is underused. So overall, Spectre is definitely an interesting change of pace from previous film. I saw the movie on the day of its release here in North America, but I had to think about it for a few days before giving you my review. Overall, I really liked Spectre. It has its problems, but it has a lot more good stuff about it. It has some things that I liked more than Skyfall, and Skyfall has some things that I like more than this film. So that's why I can't clearly say which one I like the most. I would say that Casino Royale is still my favorite James Bond films, but I don't know which one is second, either Skyfall or Spectre. Both are great films, but I can't decide which one I like more, because maybe after a second viewing of Spectre, I'll be able to give a clear statement. So overall, I'm gonna give Spectre an 8.5 out of 10. I really like Spectre, and I hope you'll like it as much as I did. So thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and expect to see more.